I sat my mother-in-law at the kids' table she designed. So my mother-in-law Diane has been helping me plan my daughter's christening for 2 months. And when I say helping, I mean she took it over the way a hurricane helps clear out a beach. It started small. She offered to handle the seating chart because, in her words, "You have enough on your plate, sweetheart." I said sure. That was my first mistake, because Diane doesn't do favors. She does hostile takeovers with a smile. The kids' table thing came up about 3 weeks in. We were at her house going over the layout, and she slid this printed diagram across the table like it was a peace treaty. Big adult table in the center. Then off in the corner, near the kitchen doors, a smaller round table. And this, she said, tapping it, is the children's table. I looked at it. Okay, who's sitting there? The children, obviously. She laughed like I was slow. They can be loud, they can make a mess, nobody has to watch their language. Out of sight, out of mind. I said, some of those kids are 8, 9 years old. They might feel left out. And she gave me this look, this tight little smile. Honestly, if a child can't handle sitting where they're told, that's a parenting problem, not a seating problem. Children sit where the adults put them. That's just how it works. When I was raising my boys, nobody negotiated with a 9-year-old about a chair. I remember the exact phrasing because she said it twice that day. Children sit where they're told, like a little slogan. So I let it go. She wanted her kids' table, fine. She designed it, she placed it by the kitchen doors, farthest from the toasts, farthest from the cake, right in the traffic lane where the caterers would be squeezing through all night. She was proud of it. She showed my husband. See how tidy it keeps everything? Now here's the part I sat on. 2 nights before the christening, my sister let something slip on the phone. She'd talked to Diane, and Diane had told her casually that she'd already quietly rearranged a couple of the adult place cards because she didn't want to be seated next to my mother. Diane and my mom have never gotten along. Diane thinks my mom is common. My mom thinks Diane is a snob. So Diane had moved herself to the head of the adult table, the seat of honor, the one with the best view of the room, closest to my husband, closest to the baby. She'd built a whole hierarchy and put herself on the throne of it, and I just thought, okay, all right, you want to talk about where people sit. The day of, I got to the venue 2 hours early, told the coordinator I needed to double check a few place cards. She handed me the box, and I went through it. I found Diane's card at the head of the adult table, and I found the little laminated tent card she'd made for the kids' table. She'd actually laminated them. That's the level we're at. I switched them. I put Diane at the kids' table, by the kitchen doors, in the traffic lane, right where she designed it, and I moved my mother up to the good seat, because somebody sensible should sit near the baby. Then I went and got dressed and said nothing. The ceremony was beautiful, and then everyone filed into the reception, and I watched Diane walk to the head of the table, reach for the chair, and stop. There was a 9-year-old already sitting there, my nephew, beaming. She scanned the table, found the card with her name, followed it, confused, all the way over to the corner, to the little round table, to the seat between a 5-year-old with a juice cup and a toddler in a booster. She turned around and found me across the room, and she did this thing with her mouth, this pinched, furious little smile, and she came over fast, low voice. There's been a mistake. My card is at the children's table. I said, oh, I know. Excuse me? You designed that table, Diane? You told me it was the tidiest spot in the room. Out of sight, out of mind, you said, and children sit where they're told. I picked a piece of lint off her shoulder. I figured that goes for anyone who can't handle where they're seated. She said, this is humiliating. I said, it's a chair. If a grown woman can't handle sitting where she's put, honestly, that's not a seating problem. She stood there, and she knew every single person within earshot had heard her own line handed back to her. She sat at the kids' table the whole night, cut a toddler's sausage, wiped a juice spill. She hasn't offered to help me plan anything since.